This is Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. On a hump of the week, Wednesday morning, 32 minutes past 7 a.m. And my name is Ayokunmi. Time to take you into the papers and take a look at the headlines, the stories that have been making the rounds that have got you talking. I've got Nigeria talking. This is Freshly Pressed. It's an interactive session, as always. So come through, share your thoughts with us on our stories, and of course, what is going on through your mind. 0809 440 981. 0809 440 981. That is the WhatsApp number to send your thoughts into us. You can also join us on YouTube. We're streaming live at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. All right, my analysts are in this morning to bring some clarity and, of course, make some sense of the stories that are making the rounds. A lot to actually talk about. Devoe and Lakunle are in with me this morning. Very good morning to you, gentlemen. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, the world. And if you have anybody who is selling a bicycle, I'm interested in buying one. Good morning again.
Oh my goodness, Devoe, good morning.
Morning, world. Morning, Lagos. AY, Lakunle. Eku, subsidy, Tifelo, Kolo.
I actually thought Devoe would come in with a cool fuel price increase, but anyways, that is fine all the same. That is fine all the same. Welcome, gentlemen. Let's kickstart our conversation this morning. Of course, we have to talk about petrol and petroleum matters because that is what has been in the news in the last 18 hours or thereabouts. And we're going to begin in the Guardian, Devoe. I'm going to start this conversation with you. And it says NNPCL increases petrol price to 897 naira per litre. Now, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, has increased the pump price of premium motor spirit, that's PMS, or petrol, to 897 naira per litre across the country. Now, sources told Guardian that marketers were informed yesterday morning of 870 naira, after which they add their margins. And, checking across some fuel stations, there were different prices across the nation. NNPC retail would sell in Abuja for 897. In Kano, it was fixed at 904. In Yola, at 924. In Lagos, it's at 855 naira per litre. Devoe, we found ourselves here. Talk to us.
Finally, and I would want to clap for the Nigerian government for saving us the agony of waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for whatever was to come. Despite many of us have been on fuel queues, some of us have not been able to leave the house. Some have also have had to compound their problems because, as you know, energy is next to life. And it's all about affordability and availability. Now, I'm not going to shout this morning because I want to more or less break down what has happened and how Nigerians can cope. Because the biggest question on many people's minds is, with this new price regime, are we about going through another round of inflation? If we couldn't cope with cost of living where it concerns energy, gas, fuel, medical fees, school fees, commodities at home, transportation, how would we cope even now that they've added to it? So we're just going to go through some frequently asked questions just so that people have an understanding of what is happening. First of all, the NNPC has upped the price, yes, as you said, between 855 and about 900, depending on your location, Lagos to the east, to the south, to the north. Now, that's NNPC. Obviously, you know, NNPC is always the lowest in the market. So major marketers like the likes of Total, AP, Rain Oil and Co would be selling somewhere around 900, 950. Some would actually take it up to 1,050. Now, the independent marketers that form the bulk of the fuel stations across the nation, about 25,000 of them, you would see prices ranging between 900 and 1,100. Now, what has happened? As you know, we've gone through a lot of uncertainty and scarcity since this administration came on board, ever since they announced the removal of subsidy. which literally within like a month or two, Okpadam, it came back with force. Literally, at a point, if you remember the old price, we were paying 568, whilst at this moment, importation is about 1-1, which meant that NNPC, what they refer to as shortfall, was subsidizing it by almost 50%. Now, in that same leg, we started hearing about the Dangote refinery, which was unable to come to stream because they had not received feedstock, which meaning they didn't get enough crude from the NNPC to keep them going. What they currently have is the one that they had to buy from abroad, which would only last them about 1 month. Now, what is going to happen, right? The real point that people need to understand is that Nigeria could not bear the burden of the subsidy. And it's not just because of petroleum subsidy. There are about 3 subsidies that have been killing the Nigerian books, which is the petroleum subsidy, the electricity subsidy, and then the FX subsidies, okay? And yes, it would lead to direct inflation if prices have to be hiked, okay? Now, to understand the petroleum subsidy easily, because most times people are wondering, okay, if NNPC has increased their prices, marketers are saying, we're waiting for the Dangote refinery since he seems to be the only person available to sell. People should not rejoice so quickly because we need to understand how petroleum economics works. And just to break it down quickly, it's not, understanding the pricing of petrol is not difficult. First of all, if the landing price is at 1,100 and NNPC is selling at 800 or 900, it means they're subsidizing it by 200, okay? So it means this price is still subsidized. I honestly recommend that NNPC takes it out completely so that we don't still continue. It just means that another day is coming because they've told you already that they're owing 7 billion, okay? Which is about $5 billion, which is about 7 trillion naira, which means they will still go through frequent scarcities in the future. We have to stop this. Therefore, full deregulation, like you see in the kerosene and the diesel sector, is what we are asking for. So that not because everybody has the money, but the point is, it is better for petrol to be available, and then let it be based on your ability to afford it, that we can pay for it. One. Secondly, the money that the federal government will no longer be spending on this subsidy, which is the savings, and this is the part I need Nigerians to hear. As we've always said, government should be subsidizing production and not consumption. Therefore, if the government, instead of spending 7 trillion on subsidizing consumption, which we know that is not the true consumption of Nigeria, we know that many people have been smuggling, or as I refer to them, smart businessmen, carrying it across the border to sell for twice the price, right? In Cameroon, Togo, Niger, Chad, Ghana. Then the savings that the federal government will have, they should put this into productive sectors for Nigerians, like social amenities, social infrastructure, roads, schools, hospitals. Now, for those who are asking for how much would Dangote be selling, let me give it to you easily. Like I said, if landing price is 1,100, okay, for dirty fuel, let me repeat myself, landing price for the fuel that comes to Nigeria is at 1,100. You saw Dangote yesterday on TV. He was bandying his transparent bottle of more or less the highest grade of premium motor spirits in Africa, and almost as even higher than the one that they produce abroad. I can assure you, by the time you put the factors together, it will come to about between 1.5 and 2,000. Why? Because it's high grade. 2, if you buy high grade fuel, you may not have to fix your car engines or your what do you call that thing? Your fuel pump as much as you regularly do with the dirty fuel that we always have in this country. So it will obviously come at a higher price. The point is, if for those who have traveled abroad, you know that every fuel station, they will sell you leaded fuel, they'll sell you unleaded fuel. They come at different rates depending on your pockets. This is a good thing. It's a good advancement for Nigeria. And that's why they've said if Nigerians can't afford it, they will sell it abroad. But I can assure you, especially those Nigerians who like to drive SUVs and don't like to go to the mechanic, many Nigerians will patronize Dangote and buy at the higher rates. So
right,
my
Devoe.
point to Nigerians is don't be afraid. There's a way out of this madness and high cost of living. I need you to take your anger out on government as regards where they will spend this increased income that is coming to them on
All
infrastructure that will drive Nigerians into a better place to be able to cope and be able to become more productive themselves. Thank you.
All right, Devoe. Thank you for your thoughts on that one. We're still going to stay in the realm of what's going on in terms of the fuel price hike. Lakunle, let's talk about the NLC. This is coming from the Punch. Now, the Nigerian Labour Congress has branded President Bola Tinubu as a betrayer following the recent significant hike in fuel prices. Now, in a statement signed by its president, Joe Ajero, made available to Punch correspondents on Tuesday, the Labour Centre expressed shock and dismay at the clandestine increase in the pump price of PMS, describing it as a deep sense of betrayal. Now, according to the NLC, they recall that one of the reasons for actually accepting the 70,000 naira minimum wage was the understanding that the pump price of PMS would not be increased. Lakunle.
So I'm going to probably go at some tangent to this story. Everybody who's listened to me on this show knows that I've never been a fan or been impressed by the NLC as constituted presently. I am of the opinion that a labor union is supposed to be to protect the interest of its members or its congregating unions like what we have. Besides, the NLC president is sounding like a child whose toy was taken away from him. At the level of him being president of Nigerian Labour Congress, meaning he's president general of all different labor unions in this country. He shouldn't be the one coming to say somebody is a betrayer. You know, there's politics being played in all of those things. And there comes my point again about Nigerian Labour Congress. The Labour Congress is not supposed to be a strike or negotiate pay alone. Where is the pressure group, the lobby group of the Nigerian Labour Congress at the National Assembly? Where is it in the states' houses of assembly? Where is it in the governor's offices? Which candidate has the Labour put forward to support in any of the states or any of the elective offices in Nigeria that will go there to go and pursue the interests of the Labour Congress on behalf of the Nigerian worker? One of the most controversial issues in the world today is gun ownership in America. The National Rifle Association has a lobby group in the Capitol, in the Congress of the United States. No matter how good you are in convincing people that gun is bad, all the politicians get funding from the NRA. Do you understand? Do you get the drift of my argument now?
Right.
The Nigerian Labour Congress cannot sit in its office and say that they are extracting promise from a politician and go to bed, then come back to say they are this. Another thing, this Labour Congress, their membership includes Pengasan and what's the name of the other one? And the PTD, Petroleum Tankers Drivers Union, the Pengasan, there's another one in the oil and gas industry.
Nupeng,
thank you. What are those people doing? Are they not part of the problem of this thing? Did they not promise us that what's it called, Petroleum Industry Bill now, Petroleum Industry Act, is the solution to all the problem in that industry? What are they doing at those levels? But they come to the news and tell us that they felt betrayed. I mean, Nigerian Labour Congress needs to do better than they are doing. Having said that, now if we now look at the story itself, right, it is politics. When you go to a politician, you must learn to play politics the way they play it. You cannot come and be saying, it's just a case like when we were kids. We used to have one, so when you've not done well in school, somebody wants to console you, say that Mama mo pass, and on me that mommy I passed, but I couldn't present my result because the goat has eaten the report card I've been giving. So that is what NLC is doing for us right now, right? They are giving us excuses. If you want us to trust you with leading the emancipation of the Nigerian worker, this is not the kind of report you should be coming out to give. So what is next after this that you know that he has betrayed you? What is next? Then again, lastly, when they have that agreement, did they come out of that meeting to give us full disclosure of what have transpired in that meeting? Why is it now that this has happened, that is now coming to give us even just one of the conditionalities of that time? So when you put all of this together, you're just like, okay, so what's the point of having this book? If I'm a member of NLC, I'm thinking, why am I paying dues to be a member of this thing when I'm not getting what I want for me out of it? So closing, I think the Nigerian Labour Congress should do a self-introspection and think about how they really want to represent the Nigerian worker.
All right. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on that one, Lakunle. We'll just take a quick breather right now. We come back in. I'll be coming back to you, Devoe, and we'll be talking about President Tinubu and, of course, his trip to China. This is Freshly Pressed on Smooth 98.1. Don't go anywhere.
And you're listening to Smooth 98.1. Taking your business into the future. That's why you need a partner with capacity.
I don't know why NLC, every small thing is to begin to threaten strike. Every 3 market days, we'll go on strike. That seems to be a solution to every single problem.
They are very, very silly people. Strike this, strike that. Strike is not a solution to any problem. You go on strike, you come back, nothing.
Welcome back to Freshly Pressed, this beautiful hump of the week Wednesday morning on Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. My name is Ayokunmi, and we are taking a look at the papers, the headlines making the rounds, and we are taking your thoughts as well. Come through and share them on WhatsApp on 0809 440 981. Devoe and Lakunle are still with me this morning, bringing some clarity and some sense to all the stories. Let me just take a message or two before we get back in. They are already beginning to line up like Third Milan Bridge traffic. Cisco Delgado says, he's talking to Devoe and Lakunle, and says he's equally looking for an electric bike at this point in time. Cisco, I feel you. Joseph Meunier says, when majority of the citizens can barely afford 1 meal a day or carry out family responsibilities, the ruling class actually can comfortably live a flamboyant lifestyle. Impunity from top to bottom grows in sensitivity to the cries of the citizens. Despite all inflation, housing, food, transportation, power, and so on, only yesterday jerked up the pump price of petrol. There are consequences of these shenanigans. Thank you for sharing your thoughts there, Joseph. Ajay Olonilua says, it's now evidently clear that this government is out to snuff the life out of the masses with this massive increase in petrol price and electricity tariff. The ripple effect of this latest increase is better imagined. A shudder at the thought. Yemi from Marina says, is Devoe telling me this morning that the Nigerian government is somehow still paying subsidies? Actually, Yemi, yes. Does that mean we'll be back at these two roads that diverge into the woods? God help us, so God help us all. Adopsy Shegun says, look, we've been here before. We have been here before. They will simply eat whatever excess monies come in. It's that simple. Somebody commented on the show months ago, probably last year, when this issue of subsidy came up, that they will think that we'll still be talking about the same thing months down the line. Even if subsidy was removed, are we not still in the same place today? So it's not enough to say money that will be saved. No money will be saved. Anything that comes in excess will be eaten up. Simple as that. All right, let's get back into the stories, Devoe. Let's head into the Disney newspaper and talk about President Tinubu's trip to China, where he and his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping on Tuesday in Beijing announced the elevation of Nigeria-China ties to that of a comprehensive strategic partnership level.
Yes, the Tinubu administration is in China at the moment for the China-Africa sessions that they hold usually, I think it's yearly or every 2 years. And hopefully a quick comment is that I hope one day we stop some of these sessions, because I don't see Nigeria calling all the people in Asia and they run down to Nigeria to come and meet our presidents. However, be as it is an advanced nation. China has been a strategic partner to Nigeria's growth for a long time. And hopefully, from administration to administration, we look to see how we can grow this synergy. As you know, Nigeria and China share many similarities, especially with population counts. We have about 200 million people. China has about 1.2 billion people. So if there's anyone who understands how to come out of poverty into wealth, which the wisdom Nigeria dearly needs at this time, I think China is one of the best partners to have. However, people need to note that it's not just Tinubu that's there. Most of the 52 African heads of states are in China at the same time, looking for how they can gain some kind of advantage. And that is the point that needs to be stressed in this meeting, that most times, even though the federal government said they will only be taking a few people, they traveled with actually a big contingent in their new jets. Also, that is not the point. The point is we want the president to extract some productive advantage for Nigeria. We want to see more of China's presence in this country, even though on the back of what happened with Ogun State, I think as the federal government, they need to sign and engage a lot of not just trade deals, but a lot of how is China going to come in and build things to international standard. One thing, if you trade with China, you will know that China gives you what you ask them for. And a lot of the Chinese infrastructure or assisted infrastructure in the country, like our airports, some of our airports, are low grade, simply because the government officials who worked on them cut bad deals, stole most of the money, and then what they built eventually was low quality. Whereas the Chinese, we know, are able to build very high quality infrastructure. Thirdly, what I would say is China is very vast in terms of their productive capacity. These are some of the lessons that we need to learn. You're not meant to have just one or two trade centers in the country. Whilst you have a port in Lagos, how can the Chinese help us in bringing up the ports in Warri, Calabar, and Port Harcourt, so that the Southeast, which is very big on industrialization, can get what it requires to be able to boost trade within the country? Remember, we're looking at diversification in this country, and there are aspects of diversification that have been killed. And these are the aspects that we expect, that whilst Tinubu's in China, when he's coming back through his ministers with issues to address our lack of water infrastructure, issues to address real estate, issues to address our power deficits, issues to address even in our petroleum economics, issues to address our solid minerals, which China is one of our biggest trading partners. So my point is this: I don't want them to come back by Saturday telling us that, oh, they just went and had conversations. I want to see actionable points of delivery by this government on the people of Nigeria, so that we can have something to hold on to. That is the essence of bilateral trade relationships.
All right. Thank you for that. We're back to WhatsApp really quickly here. Sarah says, it's amazing where we are at the moment. It's amazing where we are at how much one has to fuel a tank with. As much as a Jero might not be acknowledged anymore, however, there's a need to speak out. Taking a cab before cost between 1,000 to 1,500. Now it costs about 5,000. With this increase, one might just trek to the island from the mainland. Please, if there's anyone who has a bicycle for sale, kindly share details. Oh my goodness. Wale Adetokunbo says, Devoe had been screaming that this fuel price increase was going to happen. The problem, however, is that while Nigerians keep biting the bullet, the public servants keep chewing from the cookie jar. Right, thank you for your thoughts there. And Ahmed says, since the government has been paying fuel subsidy indirectly, it's alluded to the fact that removal of fuel subsidy is affecting businesses, individuals, and organizations. I think the government should use the opportunity of Dangote Refinery and take the price of fuel back to the price the president met in 2023, and the subsidy should then be paid to Dangote. Then we know who's receiving the subsidy. Then we can applaud the president with and we can applaud the president. Without this, Dangote is a capitalist. The fuel will be available, but it may not be affordable to the Nigerian people. All right, thank you for sharing your thoughts. Lakunle, let's really quickly take this final story here in Daily Trust. We need to rush through it if we can, because time has absolutely flown by, and it's coming from the Daily Trust. And it concerns ISWAP. Now, the Islamic State in West Africa province, ISWAP, has claimed responsibility for the attack that led to the killing of 34 villagers in Yobe State. Now, we all know what's going on in the northern part of Nigeria. Just a couple of days ago, the Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matawalle, had called out the defense chiefs to join him in Sokoto State to flush out the bandits and so on and so forth. Now, looking at this incident right now, I mean, are they going to go to all the states to flush out the bandits at this point? Because it's getting more and more ridiculous.
Quickly, a few things. One, in terms of personnel for the military and the security forces, Nigeria is grossly underpoliced. We know the numbers. Mention a state in Nigeria today that the military is not involved in one security form or the other. There's hardly any. The minister, there are allegations against him that he sponsored or he supported or his supporters were the ones who evolved to become what it is in the Northwest today. So back to this story, right? Yobe, is unfortunate that at this point when we're thinking, okay, this thing is dying down, 34 people have now been killed. Now that's potentially 34 people out of the people who, in my mind, are those people who say, I cannot go to my farm because I'm not secured, and are asking government to secure them. And the consequence of that is that another 34 will leave Yobe to come to a safer state. So we're gradually depopulating parts of the country and populating other parts of the country, and they are putting pressures on infrastructure in those places. So, and then it comes back again to what we always say about the security, the leadership, the administration of the entire landmass called Nigeria by people who are in these positions to do the right things. We know that we are grossly underpoliced. What are we doing about increasing and equipping and training our police force people to do their regular duties? We have the NCDC, whatever, the Civil Defense Corps, the CCDs, thank you. We have them. What are we doing with those ones? Your immigration to prevent non-Nigerians to easily walk into Nigeria and cause havoc. Your customs to prevent smuggling. All of that put together, what are we doing about equipping them in terms of personnel, in terms of equipment to do their jobs, to provide a secure environment for us? It's unfortunate. It is now so normal when you hear somebody is killed and we just move on until we hear the next story. It is an aberration. It is not something that should be normal with human beings in 2024. And we should be holding our leadership more responsible for these things. Right. It's painful that we still speak about this thing. We should be able to handle it and nip it in the bud.
Thank you for that, Lakunle. Let me just take one or two messages as we round up the conversation this morning. This is coming from, let's see, this is from JP. JP says, Devoe, the government doesn't have the will and discipline to manage subsidy. Fuel will be sold circa 1,100, less 15% of freight. In my opinion, you miss refinery efficiency. Sadly, the savings have been spent without accountability. Cheers. That's from JP. Tunde says, Devoe, government will never do anything good with the so-called savings from subsidy removal. They will only use it to live ostentatiously through buying more jets, flying private jets, buying SUVs without paying for fueling them, and building unnecessary projects like airports in order to loot the subsidy savings. What happened to Shore P funds? Nigeria is hopeless. There's hope for Nigeria. Veronica says, a minister during Obasanjo or Goodluck's administration suggested we ride bicycles, and we all mocked him for seeing the president. Ingabolu says, building on Lakunle's point, another question, what arises is, who is the economic advisor to the NLC, particularly the one who recommended demanding a 650,000 naira minimum wage? Until we face the reality that we've been deceiving ourselves for a long time, nothing will change. It's baffling that some people genuinely believe local crude oil refining would reduce the price of PMS to 200 naira. Let me take one more. Fabian says, the government has again shown insensitivity to the plight of the average Nigerian. So far, nothing much has been done to cushion the effect of the last fuel price hike, nor has the new salary structure commenced. I beg to differ from your analyst because no definite plan is in place to effectively utilize the money saved from the subsidy removal. Hey, you all agree to disagree. Thank you all for your messages. We take everything, but appreciate you for coming through. Thank you, Devoe and Lakunle, as well, for taking the time out this morning to join me and bring some clarity to the story. It's always a pleasure having you guys on.
Thank you, Ayo, for having me. I'm going bicycle hunting this morning so that I won't have a challenge getting to work.
I wish you all the best, Lakunle. Devoe.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Go and look for Dangote fuel. It's very pure.
No problem, Devoe. Thank you for the advice. Have a great morning. Thank you all for being a part of Freshly Pressed. Keep it tuned to Smooth 98.1. We'll take a walk into the locker room at 8:15. It's all about sports at that time. Don't go anywhere.
Pressed on Smooth 98.1.